So today is 9/30/25, and the government shuts down tomorrow if they don't pass a spending bill in Congress. And I really have just two videos to show you guys here. If the government does shut down, basically what would happen is everybody in government, especially like let's say Homeland Security, FBI, whoever gets paid by the federal government wouldn't get paid, and they would be asked to go to work for free until a spending bill is introduced. And then after that, let's just say they get it done like 2 3 days later, they'd have to pay them back pay, or even like, if it's 2 weeks later or something, then they'd have to still be paid back pay and what have you. But essentially here, I mean, the Republicans are trying to blame the Democrats that that they're shutting down the government, but they have all three chambers of I mean, they just have all three chambers. They have the Senate, House, and the presidency, and they have no excuse. They have no excuses here. And the first video, what I'm going to show you guys is Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, both Democratic leaders, in the House and Senate. They go to Donald Trump and they go to his office and they talk to him. And these two guys, I mean, these are the same Democrats that bent the knee the first time. What was it? That was in like March or so when the first spending bill was about to get shut down. Other Democrats like AOC was wanting to vote against that. But Schumer and Jeffries eventually just said, hey, let's pass it. But, hopefully they don't do that this time. If this is how the U.S. government works, if they're not, fulfilling what the American people need, they need to shut that bitch down because, no tyrannical shit, and we can't have that. So, they're still trying to have Medicaid cuts, Medicare cuts, and the Democrats are trying to get that not to be cut so people can have health care, essentially. But the Republicans just aren't having it, so we'll see what happens. But let's get into the two videos that I have here for you guys. It's gonna be this one first, and I have another.
It was a frank and direct discussion with the President of the United States and Republican leaders, but significant and meaningful differences remain. Democrats are fighting to protect the health care of the American people. And we are not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of everyday Americans. Period. Full stop. There's a Republican-caused health care crisis that is causing hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health clinics all across the country, in rural America, urban America, small-town America, the heartland of America, and black and brown communities throughout this country. And that crisis is happening right now. And that's why we believe there is urgency to both keeping the government open, reaching a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, their economic well-being and quality of life, while also addressing the dangerous Republican healthcare crisis.
Okay, so there you have it from Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, that's simply true. It's simply true that hospitals and other clinics are closing down because of these cuts from Donald Trump and the Republicans, and that's not in the interest of the American people. And and they can blame the government shutdown on the Democrats all they want, but it needs to be shut down by the Democrats if that's what they're doing, and that's what it was made to do. This is how the government works. This is how it was meant to work. If the government are passing dumb spending bills when they're spending it on things that don't benefit the Americans, then it needs to be shut down. And they don't have, I think they have the votes in the House but not the Senate. So they need 60 in the Senate, and they don't have that. So this just backs that up from Hakeem Jeffries. This is before that they even did that. John Ossoff here, I think he's from Georgia, He talks about how the hospitals are closing down in Georgia. So watch.
There are rural hospitals really all across America that are closing, and that affects everyone. Your elderly husband has a heart attack. That's an extra hour to get an ambulance to your house. People are going to die because of this.
Evans Memorial Hospital in Southeast Georgia saying they may have to cut their ICU.
Oh my gosh.
So, you have a car accident, a heart attack, a stroke. To know that you may die because there are not healthcare facilities nearby, that you may unnecessarily die, or your loved one may unnecessarily die. We should be building hospitals, not closing them. And to your point, this is just worsening an underlying crisis, right? We've lost 9 rural hospitals in Georgia in the last 15 years. If Donald Trump had come to Congress and say, you know what, let's work together to strengthen the hospitals that are in trouble and reopen them where they've closed, we could unite the country to do that.
Absolutely.
But that's not the agenda.
Yeah, it's really a nonpartisan issue.
Should be.
People's lives. It should be. Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have it there. I mean, hospitals are closing down, just this year, rural hospitals especially, obviously, because they don't have the funding for it. So, I mean, that needs to stop. We've gone over, how many times have we gone over healthcare and we said that with this spending bill and just all the things that Donald Trump's trying to do, and the Republicans cut that for Medicaid, even if it's just health research or anything like that, people are going to die. People are literally going to die because of this. Like, they cannot claim that they're pro-life after this, bro. Like, honestly, I mean, you're going to leave some people literally an hour away from a hospital, an hour away. You're gonna call the ambulance and it's gonna take an hour. That shouldn't happen anywhere in the United States of America, the biggest country in the world economically, and you can't even get to a hospital within an hour. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, guys. And I've even seen stuff lately of like, I saw this thing in China where they developed this thing where if you have a bone fracture, they can inject you with like, I believe it's actually called bone glue, and you don't need any metal plates or anything, and it's fixed within like I think it's like 30 minutes or something like that. And then obviously they do something else, but I mean, like, stuff like that is never coming to America, bro, because that is way too, that would be way too easy of a fix for us. And you would have to, it would be cheaper. So you can't have that with our for-profit healthcare. So it's absolutely ridiculous, man, that we have to deal with this shit, that we have to deal with, obviously putting the American people short. Instead of, we could probably develop something like that, but instead what we have is for-profit healthcare where a lot of people can't afford health insurance. That by itself will kill people, and it has been killing people for years, where people literally can't get care outside of maybe like an emergency room, right? They can't see a specialist because it costs too much, and people like or like countries like Switzerland or even China, they're living a better life in terms of they don't have to worry about going to the hospital and not seeing care or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is, I know I advocate for universal health care, and obviously I definitely believe that's what it should be, but cutting Medicaid and Medicare right now is absolutely that's the bare minimum. You can't have that. I mean, if that's the case, then shut the government down, because I really hope they don't bend the knee on this. You see other senators saying that hospitals are closing down. You gotta believe them, and you can't bend the knee. You can't listen to J.D. Vance saying that it's just you don't shut the government down over disagreements. This isn't disagreements. You're playing with American lives. So, yeah, it needs to be shut down if that's the case. Hopefully Republicans get a brain and, want to help regular people for once. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it needs to something needs to happen for sure.